11, 10, no, 9, 10, yeah, 10
Oh,
on the, so it's not gonna cut into anything else. We started a little bit late.
if everybody's agreeable to starting a little bit late. Yep, you're still good with that, Lance?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, I'll get that shared as needed.
Thank you.
You know, did you put stuff in your coffee?
Yeah.
I want to show you
And we
what
got
I
a
have.
shadow box that
Kind of
will be
stuff.
put
I have it right here. I
What
leave
kind
that
of stuff
somewhere.
did you
At
put
the
in
end of
your
the day.
coffee?
Look at this.
Up at the board.
What'd you tell?
No, I
It's
just
nut
wondering what
pods.
kind of stuff.
It is hazelnut nut
No, I
pods.
was asking her.
So do
She
you have
was kind of
to
a little.
Oh, what stuff she put in there. After you open it, you refrigerate it.
unsweet.
St. Regis.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I would love to
wonder
try it
if
sometime.
they should.
I already put that
Yep,
in there.
well, that's okay. Drink it down and get another cup. Okay, it's right over
And you
here.
don't have to.
if it's other resources that we
After
know.
you
Yeah,
open it,
that's
you're
this
supposed to, but I have many
this
times
week,
left it out on the
we
counter.
did go and help somebody in
And
St.
nothing has
Regis
happened.
get some
That stays out
resources.
too.
They needed
I
as
mean,
well.
until the next day or the day after.
Well,
Oh,
Needed
not
to
quite.
find
Oh, yeah.
out
Not usually.
good enough to move.
my nut pods.
Yeah, I'd like to try that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then I'll try
Somebody
some
had
of
that in their backyard.
Dwayne's. I bet he's got some
No,
whiskey in that
it
flask.
was
I was
a
just gonna
business,
say.
he
Say what? Okay.
slid
I
off
said, I
the
bet
road
you
and
have
that
some
rolled,
whiskey in
but
your
he
flask.
I
had-
wish.
do you know how hard it is to find a,
My grandson
something
did
big
give me
enough
a
to
pint
move
of
a 70 ton?
pumpkin Bailey's.
It's almost buried in mud.
Yeah,
If
so
it's like
I
it
gave
was
him,
last year,
what I did was I gave him
tasty.
Zanetti
Might wanna be sitting
over in
down.
Idaho, because there was nobody around here.
Stronger than
I
the
gave
Bailey's you
another
buy.
type
huh?
Oh, yeah.
over in
Do you want me to do anything
Idaho.
with these?
And then
I,
I put him in
again,
touch with
haven't even
somebody
gotten
who
to
I
pay
knew
all
had a
on
rollaway
Wednesdays.
and
Where
the
Did you work
bulldozer,
all
a
day yesterday?
D10.
all day.
So, and he
I thought about
managed to get it
stopping in,
out
but I got
the
back
following
busy a
morning.
little bit.
Oh, gosh, after
I
tripping
might
through
not
the
be able
night,
to
just
solve
want
the
to get
problem,
home.
but I'll
I
give you as
checked
many
out.
resources
Yeah.
as I can
Yeah.
find
But the
to
roads were
solve it.
perfect.
Yeah,
It was a
that's
good
something.
day, though. No
You're
smog.
good, though. That
So I
really
thought
is.
about today, like, oh my God, she went yesterday,
I
look at
know.
today.
If they've
Yeah.
got a problem,
That-
you're
you
gonna
were talking
get an
about
answer
9
from
Mile,
it.
that
That's-
scares
you're
me
gonna
so
keep knocking
much.
on doors until you can. That's
Yeah.
the beauty of this.
And it's got those
That's
barriers
exactly
on
it.
all the
Brooke
sides of
Lincoln
the
even
road.
called me here last week because
Oh,
she
man,
had
we got
a
information
truck driver
from
whose
that
truck
Truckio
broke down,
project,
and
and
the company said, we'll fly you out of
$800
Missoula
to
home.
rent it a year.
Well, he's up in
Fee
Lincoln,
from
so
DNRC.
he's all the way on the west end.
He
Held
needed a
to
ride to
Boston's
Missoula.
piece.
Wonder how they
Put him in
arrived
touch
at
with Pioneer Council.
that. Land
So
forming.
how did they handle
Well,
that?
yeah, I
Because that's
guess.
such an iffy road
And then
for them. It's not a
insurance, and I
medical
don't know how we're
road.
gonna get insurance.
No, but the Pioneer Council does regular,
See, unless
Yes.
we get a rider and somebody.
Daily, weekly.
Somebody said it's like
So they
1,200,
connected
it's the
up.
cheapest they found
Yeah.
a year. We can't
we
afford
got a ride
2,000.
from
Just to have
West
the
End
bike
to
trail.
Missoula
Yeah.
Airport. and-
I mean, it's for everybody, but
That's perfect.
I wonder why the state is.
Good morning.
And I just happened to
Sign
get the
in sheet
updated
right there.
information the
Federal.
night before,
They're exempt from being.
because Lori
You
Phelps,
know,
I
you
know.
can't sue
and then the woman who
the
took
hunters
over the
out hunting
phone.
on
Sue.
Forest Service.
Yeah, so I got with her over the night
Because
before, so I
because
had the
Forest Service
updated
is-
information
okay.
too, so it was
They're
just
immune from that.
divine
type of
timing, I
stuff.
think, is a lot
On your
of
own in the
what.
woods. It's not.
I think a lot of
Right.
So I
this
wonder why
specifically,
DNRC,
Beaver Help and Neighbor really
walking their
does.
trail or riding a
come
bike,
from
ride,
divine
ride their
intervention.
liability insurance required.
well,
It
they have
feels
it too.
good
They
to
want
be
us to
able
have
to
a backup.
Huh.
Maybe not solve the problem,
Gee.
Per
but to
person.
at
Get,
least,
help them find answers.
Checked on it, said the cheapest we
That's
found.
what neighbors do, right?
There's no way we can learn
That's
that.
what neighbors do, right?
That's it. Yeah,
we heard that.
So I don't know.
they
what's
really
going on.
are.
I mean, like,
It's not
the whole
charity.
Forest
I
Service
want to
trail,
make that
trail.
clear. Some
Forest Service
services
doesn't require people.
are gonna be free, but most of the time you're gonna have to pay
Forest
for
Service
it, or
owns
we're
the
gonna get you out.
property though, and
On
it
stock
will
or
be a.
propane or whatever.
Or whatever.
Once I started talking to people about, are you willing to help, and they understood I'm not giving them up the farm.
Yeah.
You know, especially electricians,
But
plumbers,
maybe it's just
excavators, we have a lot of those up on the west
Because it
end,
avoids those
but they
dangerous
don't
bridges.
wanna work
So
for
it's
it.
a.
Yeah.
Because they're retired, you know, a
Exactly.
lot of them ex-military type people.
And in that process, I uncovered four
Otherwise,
people who have been former
Contract is
LEOs
pretty much.
who have interest in the reserve program.
If they get law
Four
enforcement.
up on the west end, can you imagine having 4 reserve deputies on the west end?
You gotta talk to Ryan.
I have, that's why I made that, that's why I had that gathering, because I
Renee,
want those
come sit
people
by
to
me?
be able to.
No,
Well, I'm just, I'm not sitting by you
Yes.
once it starts.
I think you
Yes.
got it out of your car and snuck it in.
Yeah.
That's on it.
Leave it completely, leave over there, you go.
Good, good, healthy lives. She said
Okay,
that
how was
She
your?
had
that one of them was numbered number 3 or something, I said, no.
No people showed up because they were all
I've
sick.
never lost
That
Oh, I think you probably lost more. I just think it's smart to start numbering them.
And there's a lot of them up now.
Yeah, yeah,
So
no,
also,
Yeah, no thanks. We can do Christmas some
so
other
they're
time.
Well, I
not
was supposed to fly
necessarily
to Boise and
occupied
I
by full-time
canceled.
residents.
Yeah.
See my daughters and had her son
Especially
take
going
down
up
with
that
COVID on
Saltese,
Christmas
Packer
Eve
Creek.
anyway.
A lot has gone in that
Yeah,
area
yeah.
that are
They're
seasonal
supposed to show
homeless
us.
people.
So,
The beautiful homes,
So we're
but
having Christmas.
sadly,
Oh, well, that'll be nice.
With the
the economy
kids,
isn't
you know,
gonna
they
spend
want
little
nearly
Yeah,
as
no,
much
that's
as
why I
they
sent
are.
it to Casey and Carleen.
10 and 12.
Well, that's a fun age.
They still love,
Yeah.
you know,
They're
the
building
Christmas
something
lights,
up
so
past Packer
everything's
Creek,
off. and,
up
you know,
the 488 road.
So,
Yeah.
They've got a gate up there now, and when we were through there this summer, they were actually drilling a
Did you see?
well and had the gate
where I had
closed.
the 7 or
So
6.
you couldn't actually go from, at the end of
No,
Packer
I
Creek,
see it.
you can go up to the
Oh,
left, and it takes you
Yeah,
towards
it's
the,
on that.
worming
Yeah.
shed,
Yeah.
it's the other way to get to the worming shed.
Yeah.
They've got that gate up.
The way
You
that they're
can't-
standing
You can
is
go around
for
it if you got
count.
really high
So
floor
I said, how
like
many cats do you
that.
think?
But they're digging the well up there now.
And they're all black and white?
Those are all the
What
black
is
lights.
that?
It's
Oh,
in
is
that
that
one,
Apparently
which
it's
is
part
like
of the.
Everybody
It
has
is.
black and white cats here.
more
Let's see.
cats are black than any other color.
Outfitters.
Black
Right, see, so what was
They're
the
gonna
color?
Black and white.
Black and white. Is that right?
Yeah,
Boom.
that's the
But
reason
they're
why
closing
they
Forest
say more
Service
black
roads
cats are
for them to be able to
destroyed
do
in
their
the
work.
See, that's.
Because there's a
where I
lot
don't
of
There's
understand
actually
is
more of
kids
them than any other color.
I don't
I
either.
love
I
black
don't
cats.
either,
I've
because
got
that's a,
one.
in the
I've
winter,
got-
that's
and then I've got
primary
green
road
white.
that's being used for the snow.
And actually, I didn't include the
But
outside.
here we were in
cats,
the
so
dead of summer,
I
and it
don't
was
have
supposed
any
to
idea
snow
what
last
it's
year.
for.
Eight.
And apparently she doesn't
We
either.
have
No,
one that.
let's see what Casey
We
and
found
Carleen
two
said.
new places to go for
He
lunch
comes
in the
back, he's
house.
healthy.
And one of them was to go up over to the Wild Country Farm.
Yeah.
We could do that
I
for 45
especially
minutes.
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
house.
I don't think so.
Okay.
When you sit over and see what they say, are they gonna?
I forwarded it to.
Oh.
She comes during
45
daytime,
minutes
so
from
I'm
the house,
gonna
from our house,
grab
it's
her
like super
and
easy,
then
really
get her
good
fixed,
road.
and I'll release her.
You
It's
could
no
do it
big deal. I don't want anymore.
Oh, no.
I've never made that.
As much as I love kittens.
I bought.
Oh, come on out, we got a 6-seater ATV, we'll take you for a ride.
Maybe you like things taken care of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you check?
Do
they
So
just
take
go
you
in
through
and
a
do
month,
it?
I'll just grab
Oh, yeah.
some of
I
that.
bought 3 of them in here at once.
Yeah, it's a mud machine, it's got
You
sort of
checked
high
it.
snorkel like this, so.
No, and I confirmed that they were doing what you said he was gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and do.
They were all
then
nice.
Jen just shot an email.
Yeah.
Okay, because that I didn't know, I know I wrote to April and said, are you guys taking care of this? She said, yes, we're doing that today. And that was as far as I,
And then take them all in that way.
As long as I don't think I'm gonna float the vehicle, that's the
And then
hour.
they'll open it up again. They'll all race out.
Moon Pass.
There's the
Just
trolley.
because they've got a couple of bridges that are like
Oh, there may
overweight, so
one.
they have a road that'll go through the creek. They're on Moon Pass for the big trucks.
That man saved
Hit
my
those,
life.
there's a couple
Or
times in
actually
the
saved
spring
my
when
life,
that
saved
thing
my
will float
tractor's
a little
life.
bit.
oh, he did, well, he would know,
Over and dry.
and half the parts and.
I love that ATV. At first when I got here, I thought, ATV is, there's too many crazy people out there. And I don't touch the trails Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
We hit it Wednesday, Thursdays, and then Wednesdays
It's
around.
yours. Yeah, like all 4 years.
We could go all the way over to Avery and hardly run into anyone.
I couldn't find it.
That's only
I looked
an
at
hour.
the top and it wasn't until I actually
Did you
got
know
on
that the
So
highway
Deb's a little bit the ways out, you want to start without it?
Pearson, that they use a snow
Okay.
puncher,
All right. We've got our counselor with us now, so we will start some of this conversation and Deb can join us afterwards. So on the agenda is writ of mandamus, commission to determine whether to hire a county attorney and full-time detective. All right, so Lance, you want to start it or?
Sure. Again, I think that what you need to realize here is that what's really at issue are 3 things in my mind. It's public safety, officer safety, and the constitutional rights of the accused. And as it sits right now, that's a problem. It's getting better on that. And I recently learned that Deputy Kunzelman has resigned. That will take a lot of work off of Deb's plate in future. So that that's good. Shows a good change in the right direction in my mind of getting a new atmosphere in the sheriff's office, one of which honesty and integrity is going to be a part of the office, which is important on it. Still is the issue that's going to be facing them is changing the what's happening, and because of the writ of mandamus and all of the past problems, you still have a lot of individuals that have issues potentially with their cases that need to be looked at, the defendants. But in addition to that, you have several cases of victims that aren't being addressed, and they need to have an individual with significant experience to be able to, one, help train the officers that are here so that we have the experience to deal with something other than a routine stop, the ability to investigate it, but also to understand the importance of training so officer safety is protected. But, you know, victims and defendants deserve a fair investigation, and that is something that is really important to have here on. You know, I've seen it where this, you know, I've seen it back in the day where there was a few deputies, and that was plenty. But that's just not the case of the interstate now, and the drug activity on it, and that type of thing. We've been lucky that no officer has been injured, and thankfully no one has been, you know, had to be use of force with deadly force in quite a while. And it's a matter of time, and it's imperative that we get this corrected. And it's just a realization of the fact that one, Minnow County's growing, two is that the world's changed, and you have to keep up with it, or it, in this case, it'll overwhelm both a sheriff's department and a county attorney's office. And you know, Deb, I've worked with her. I know what the volume of cases, and I've looked at the level of that. It is impossible. I don't care if you're the greatest county attorney on the planet. You're not going to be able to function in this county by yourself, and that is just a fact. And so, you know, I looked at this, and I think at a minimum, is I'm like trying to be a minimalist of what is needed here to get out of the situation and maintain a situation where you don't fall back into the same situation. And so, you know, in Ravalli County, for example, is once for misdemeanors, an individual is capable of handling 500 cases on it. And, you know, here we're looking at, last time I checked, it was about 2,000 cases. And that doesn't count your felonies. And you know, I know, Roman, you have some experience in dealing with that, but, you know, when you're dealing with a significant crime, you have victims, and that obligation, the worst feeling that you can have as an attorney is not having the time to commit to being able to put in what it takes to try a good case. And right now, the situation, in my opinion, is Deb can't do that. There is too much going on, and a lot of it is stuff that's in the past. You know, every time one of these Brady cops wrote a ticket, that was a week's work for them on it, because, you know, as a defense attorney, when you have a Brady cop, that's your, you know, that is a good briefing issue. That is something that results in lots of paperwork and hearings and those type of things. And, you know, when you're dealing with a misdemeanor ticket and it's taking a week of your time, you're not looking at potentially a serious crime. And, you know, the thing with getting another county attorney in here is, you know, Deb has to look at all of these other cases from the past, and you're gonna have to have someone do that. And it has to be an attorney to evaluate it. And looking back through each of those cases then takes away from what's happening daily here. And it doesn't stop. And so, you know, one, you know, at some point you just have enough. And I don't know when Deb's button is that pushed that far, but I know I wouldn't have lasted as long in her shoes as she has. Because frankly, the system's broke right here, and without you guys giving her aid in it, it'll continue to be broke, and it'll continue to result in two things. One is people that need to be in prison end up not going there, and you have victims out there that aren't getting the justice that they need. And it's not the fault of the county attorney's office, it's a fault of resources. And to me, you know, before anything else that this commission does, it falls to public safety, officer safety, and seeing that the justice system works. And because if you don't have that, you don't have anything on it. And you got to have a situation that restores the confidence of the county in both the sheriff's department and the county attorney. And so, you know, I don't know, Deb, if you feel comfortable talking about how overloaded you are, but it's a simple fact. And I think if, I know this, if a county attorney, if you hire an independent person, which isn't a bad idea, like a retired judge, ask them to come in and look at it and evaluate what it would take to run this office in a manner. I would bet my paycheck that they would say it will take 3 county attorneys, that you will need a full-time detective for the county attorney's office, and that you need an experienced detective for the sheriff's department for the reasons I've stated on it. And right now, you know, we have this writ of mandamus going on, and I want it to be done. I want it to be over with, and you know, I don't like being in it, but I'm not getting out of it until we get it fixed, because it's not fair to everybody here in the courthouse and to the public. And so that's what's needed, and it's a start on it. But if you don't address it now, your liability issues in the coverage that you have from MACO is not going to insulate you, because the coverage isn't going to include a lot of the 1983 actions that you're going to be involved in. So this is proactive. The money you spend now is money that you're going to invest in preventing it being wasted in lawsuits and recoveries. Yeah.
So are you saying 3 full-time employees?
No, I'm saying if you do a study, that's what it's going to recommend. Right now, what's needed immediately to help get this on board. But I am telling you that based on the number of cases
Yeah,
that
I
this county
understand
sends,
that,
it's
but-
going to take, yes,
I thought you said 3
yes.
full-time employees?
It would if when the study, I'm not asking for that right now
Oh, okay.
on it. What I'm saying right now is Deb needs help, and the sheriff's department needs help, and you can use the detective in multiple ways on it to help in that. I say the reason you need to hire him for 3 years, no one's going to come and do something for a year without some type of guarantee that this is, you know, they're coming here for a focus on it. And the idea of getting a newbie lawyer that has not done county attorney work is not viable. You need someone that has many years of understanding it, so that when they come in, they are you don't have to train. It is, they've done it, and by doing that, it will at least take a lot of the tension off of it, because frankly, I don't know how Deb, or even if she can right now, get to the things that she needs to. I would be in vapor lock if I was her.
So maybe could we hear from you, Deb?
We do have a lot of cases. We do handle a lot of cases. I've committed to that. I knew that when I came in. There's a lot of cases that are coming in for request to prosecution. Some of the requests for prosecution cases, I need a detective. I do need that. That is, I think, something that would be very beneficial. Part of the problem is requests for prosecution. I can read them all day long. I can look at them all day long. I can send out requests for investigation. But they don't have a turnaround time where they're coming back to me in a timely fashion. Only because, number one, we have officers that are more inclined to be patrol officers. They are not investigators. So let's not hammer them for any purpose or any reason. But having somebody that has the ability to go out and sit with a victim and talk to them and get the statements I need, get the information that's required, would be very pertinent. And you need somebody that does have some qualifications. I believe also that detective probably could benefit us, and they can train the patrol officers to come up the chain of ladder. Because right now, we have training that is handled through the sheriff's department, but they only know what they know to train. They don't have an outside perspective where somebody has investigated sexual assault crimes, potential homicide cases, those kind of things. They need training in search warrants, how to get the investigation going, how to get the information. Somebody in a detective realm would do that. Also, with the information that I have on the Brady stuff, it would be beneficial because we're not sending it out to outside agencies. We have sent things out to outside agencies for investigation, and I don't get a timely response back. And that has, been sent out, and, we're still waiting. And so that is an issue. So that could be taken over by the detective. And I would wall off that detective from the sheriff's office unless there was an emergency. If there was an emergency, he can go down and help out and probably be very beneficial down there. But keeping him separated from the sheriff's department, he or she could use the that information and go out and do the investigations that need to be done because they're not part of the sheriff's office. So that could eventually save us time and money and issues. As far as another attorney, I would love another attorney if we had the money. And right now, my information that I'm trying to convey is the detective, I think, would be the best bang for our buck, because we would get more turnover. I've already read the request for prosecution. I've already read all of them. I've got requests for investigation out, but even the responses I'm getting back from the sheriff's office, it shows that we need a little more training in the investigation side. And that might be very beneficial for both the sheriff's department and for me. So I don't know if I've answered your question fully, because I missed the first half of this, but if we have a budget, and I believe we do potentially have some money,
That's what I'm thinking.
pardon?
So the other part of the equation is because the Congress changes day after tomorrow, and the Fed's looking hard at the question of, we have Interstate 90 here. The drug question is part of it, but because the investigation part is a significant thing, and they got the message, they said, look, when we bust somebody with 5 grams of whatever on the seat of the car, I don't want the car released until you search the car. And guess what? The sheriff's office doesn't do it. They didn't bring a dog. MHP, the Highway Patrol, doesn't do it, and they should before the car goes. So what the feds are looking at is the question of, wait a second, some of those cases the Fed can take if it's going interstate, but the other part is too, are the people tribal that are driving the car? Nobody's been asking the questions. We should, that goes federal too. And thirdly, they have potentially got the funding to give the county attorney's office and the commissioners the money for the quote investigator, detective, and we're calling it investigator, to work on that stuff now. So we may have to split the bill. The Fed might pay 80%, we might pay 20%, but if we can get that done in the next 2 weeks or a month, that means we got the position that Deb thinks does us the most good, and at the same time, it costs us hardly anything. Because who's pushing the bus behind, they want the information on it, is the Fed. And that basically is a chance to get the money for the county for virtually nothing. And my hope would be we could get 100% of the cost, but if we only got 80% of the cost, that's still a hell of a bang for the buck. And they called us about it, we didn't call them. And Deb and I talked to them on Wednesday morning, twice about the question, and they called back yesterday. So they're gonna try to make a move to accomplish something to take some of the pressure off of that, and also to put better pressure on to shutting down the corridor of the drug traffic that goes especially from Washington State, north of us and west of us farther. That's what they're trying to do, which makes good sense, but we get discretion to spend it as we see fit. It's not only drug money or for drug investigation money, it's for an investigator or detective, as Deb says, divert this direction, and that would help us a bunch. So it's in the mill, we just haven't got there yet, but they were told us, we don't change the Congress until Monday, but when people get sworn in Monday, they're looking real hard at how to accomplish that quickly, which is good.
I'm not sure what that means to us, though, for an immediate hire. If you're able to get someone qualified, how will that affect, Lynch, you're saying no?
I mean, one, it's great, what they're talking about. And I'm liking this to when I go to the doctor and I made an appointment to go to the doctor, and then I go in the doctor and he goes, how are you doing? And I say, oh, all right, but yet I'm at the doctor because I'm sick on it, and I know it's hard for Debs to talk about the difficulty she's having, but from an outside person looking in on it, it's a situation where, yes, will a detective help, but it's not going to do it. I'm just saying, is I couldn't do it.
No, I understand
and
that.
that's what I'm trying to, it is, and she is, I see her putting in the hours
Yes.
and the time, but it's a person that doesn't, and that's what I'm saying, is that the real need is, you need more help out there because no one person can do this.
Sure, and what I was wondering, though, was the money. What Wally just explained to us, how quickly would that help us? I mean, she needs a full-time detective, she has said that, and you're saying there's going to be money available, but we don't wanna wait for that money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think,
It may take them a month or something to get their act together. What they may actually do is they may loan us the person from one of their agencies for a month. And so they figure the details out, we have time then to create a job description, do an advertisement, and do a hire. So we may end up borrowing a person that investigates for FBI or BATF or somebody, I don't know who, but they may look at it that way as a stopgap.
Okay,
But where they left us is, they cannot do it faster, but frankly, if they have to pay somebody $80,000 or $100,000 a year to do it, if the Fed will cost the money, that is the best way to possibly get it done. And the other advantage we have is if somebody who does it for us for a year or 2 years, then has the ability to go on in the federal system to work for one of those agencies, that's even better. Because our chance to get somebody then is much, much better, because they have a program, as long as we can keep them, great. And if they want to do something different and move up the food chain that way, that gives them the choice.
So we could, though, fill this position one way or another of a full-time detective without saying, well, we have to wait until we get this money, we have to wait until it's approved. One way or another with their person
I think
stepping.
that's not the case. I think if you fill it before you get the money from the Fed will not be as inclined to give it to you.
Well, there's a conundrum.
The
Well, I don't
conundrum is
think
very
it is
simply,
that big of a conundrum. If you're talking a month, and if it's a month situation for that they're funding on a detective, to me, that's not a conundrum in that part. I think that's, if it materializes, great.
If it does, that's what my
Right.
only concern
I mean, it
is.
is, I mean, you're talking Fed stuff and, who knows when that part, but, the thing that, what they said makes me more confident in it is they called, not
Yes,
not part on it, but really to me, the one that's more important than anything is the additional county attorney, because the additional county attorney can be looking at the back stuff and seeing that the front stuff is being there.
And so Deb, could you restate what your feeling was on that?
On the county attorney, hey, if we get, let's just say, right now, you've given me $10,000 budget in my budget. And that takes up maybe our 20% or close to it. And then we get the 80% for the detective. Then you're really not putting in any money. So maybe at that point, I can hire somebody to assist me that could help. Because if we do get an investigator and he's churning things, we're gonna get things through quicker. Then we could utilize another deputy. Right now, I'm keeping up, I'm pedaling pretty fast and I'm working, this last month, because of my grandson, I slowed down a little bit, but I've kept up. And I've made a commitment. I will work until I need to in order to get this done, and I mean it. We're gonna get this county put back together again. We're gonna make it work again. We're gonna get money back into this county again. I want people to feel safe again, and I'll do everything I can to do it. And if the county can afford somebody at that point, I would say, yes, by all means, I could use some help. But that is, I don't want to put you in a bad situation, I don't want to put the county in a bad situation. I don't want the taxpayers paying a whole bunch of money. And that's why the federal money, I've always said the federal money probably needs to come to help us out, because we're conquering all of that crime that's going on, and there's more of it. And I'm afraid that when you uncover one rock, another snake's gonna come out. And that snake could bite us, because we could end up with more cases. Even if we did another county attorney on a contract basis, so that if I have excess trials or excess cases, they can help me out, take over. Whatever we can do, you guys know the budget better than I do. But I'm just saying, whatever we can do would be helpful. So as far as the detective though, I think that is absolutely my number one.
so the other thing I'd say is that in terms of help, the other thing is there's a number of people out there that are my age or older or younger a little bit who have basically made it a point to retire and are board staff. And so several of them that are in Missoula have said, well, we're just tired of not doing anything. They still kept themselves admitted to the bar, but they're not working it. They said, well, if you wanted somebody to work 20 hours a week or something, we'd come and do it 2 days a week and prosecute misdemeanors or whatever else. And they practice law 35 or 40 years. These guys are good. But the problem is they don't have anything to do. They don't have whatever else. And their excuse in the summer is if we went and worked 3 days a week and quit at 4 in the afternoon, we could fly fish our way back to Missoula and make some money in the process or pay whatever else. But there's people out there, we just haven't defined that part of it. Because when the feds called and talked to me about it, they called me twice, then I went to Deb's office and we called them back. So they talked to both of us at the same time. So if we can solve that problem quickly, that puts us in a lot better position to figure out what we need to do to get some other help to slog through stuff. And I think it's a mail, and I did not call the Fed and ask. This was an out of the blue deal that they called this week, and it's like, wow, what a gem. And Jesse Laslovich is the new US attorney, and I know him, but I haven't talked to him about this yet. But my thought was wait and see what we get from the feds next week, the congressional boys, et cetera. And I think I'm gonna call Jesse and have a visit with him and say, look, if you guys are game, this is what we've got going on, and where can we sit, and can you take some of this on? And I think they probably will. Because if the Congress is telling the US Attorney's Office, take on the big drug things, take on the rest of it, that'll help a bunch too.
Do you have an idea of a price when you're contracting, if you're contracting out for attorneys for cases or however you see fit doing that?
I don't. We probably have to negotiate with them based
Sure.
on their experience.
Any,
and see.
yep, and Wally, because you know these people, any ideas there? I mean,
No, and I didn't even ask him, but I saw, like when I saw Phil at the Rose Park neighborhood meeting over the question of they're gonna bulldoze the trees on Brook Street or not. We didn't get to talking about a price, but his phone number is clipped on my refrigerator in Missoula. Because he asked, and he was quite keen, Dougie's gonna retire this year, he's another one who's keen to do it. These are guys who practice law a long time, but they don't wanna just quit.
sure.
They just
It
need
sounds-
something to do, and it's like, that being the case, this is something that they actually think would be a lot of fun, because a lot of them started 35, 40 years ago prosecuting misdemeanors in the Missoula County Attorney's Office, or in Ravalli County. That's what they did for 3 or 4 years, went to a firm, did tons of work, and this is like a trip back memory lane for them. So I think they're game, I don't know how much, but I also know they understand we are not a wealthy county. We don't have the mineral interest that they've got in eastern Montana, we don't have the coal fields in Rosebud County, but they also understand this is close to their home, and a lot of them hunt and fish in this county, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad to hear you say what you're saying, Deb, because we know that this has been a problem a long time. The resources in Mineral County, not only the funding, but getting the bodies and the people to do an efficient job. And several county attorneys ago, we just ignored the money part and said, yep, we're gonna need it, we're gonna have to pay the piper, we're gonna have to be hired a detective investigator. We brought in a attorney from the U of M who came out part-time and worked, and we thought we better do it. The felonies have doubled in the past, and then guess what? We found out. We ate away all of our reserves, and our money was down to the wire, and then we had to go and RIF employees here from the county because we didn't have, we tried to solve the problem too quickly. And now, it's still the same problem. We have a lot of, not just drug cases, but there's all kinds of child abuse, sexual assault, etc. And you're right, they do require people to sit down and do some investigating. And a lot of our deputies are more into driving around, patrolling, and doing that. And so when they get these calls, it's almost kind of like a little sidetrack for them. And they need, maybe with new leadership or with more training, some of these guys can start perfecting that, let the highway patrol do the patrolling, and sheriff's deputies are actually gonna have to be, more of a real cop that investigates things to the end. But, anyway, I'm just saying that, I appreciate you saying that it is about our resources here, because we just get the money that we're dealt with to deal with, and we went and overspent, and we ended up getting in serious trouble with almost having no more cash reserves because of it. So we need to do this again, but a little bit more,
Slowly.
yeah. Go ahead, Diana.
So I'm thinking, about a levy, public safety levy. Can that include, prosecutors, or is it just jail?
No, I can,
Do anything that's affiliated with the criminal justice system, you mean?
Public safety, they would cover both the attorney's office and the sheriff's department.
And I think that, long-term, that probably we need to consider doing that. And I would be happy to work on it, and I know it's gonna take a lot of.
No, and with the new sheriff coming on board, we kind of have already planned the
Talked about
budget
that.
year that we're gonna need his help in launching this, selling it to the public and because you're right,
I remember when they did
this
a,
thing on anytime you're gonna sell something, is showing a commitment on it, and
Yeah.
I think that's the, on it, and as soon as I see that commitment, I'll get behind it, but until I do, I'll be the first one that says, until we're ready to address it, it won't work.
I remember when, the school did a levy and Linda Zimmer actually went house to house to talk to people, and that's what's gonna need to be done. And I don't know how soon you can do those, like November election, is that when you do them?
Roman, you'd have to answer that, or Dwayne. Can your safety levy only be in December or November?
You can do-
Sorry.
it could be in the spring.
You can do it
You would
in
just do a
January,
special
you can do
ballot.
it in November,
You can do it
you
anytime.
can do it, with any of those ballots, yeah. It's a lot
So-
cheaper to do it like
Yeah.
June or
So you could do
May.
it as a primary, but could you do it with a school ballot? You couldn't do it with a school ballot.
You can do it with a school ballot for village. Yeah, not
For a
just
public
school
safety.
election, but if there's a school ballot one, you can run it at the same time.
Because I was just thinking, I don't think there'll be a primary this year.
No, you
You
don't
can
have to
still
wait
do
for,
it.
you don't have to
And this
wait
is
for-
too soon anyway, but,
No, you
yeah.
can, it could be done in the spring, March, April.
But I do want to ask Lance a question. When you say if you see the commitment, I think we are all committed to this, but I'm not sure how we show it to you, because we just, I asked about the federal money. That'll be a month before anything can happen there. So when do you see that
The
commitment is in
problem-
place?
The problem is there's, you gotta get through this problem with mandamus. I mean, it's still there.
Mhm.
And I don't, you're talking, in my mind, I mean, I've got, cases I have personally, and I don't wanna talk about them in front of that part, but it went unanswered on it. And so I am concerned that, that the prior cases get evaluated to see which ones need to be addressed on it. And what I mean by that is someone has to go through each of those cases to see whether or not that information, the Brady information, would have made a difference in the prosecution or the person's decision whether or not to take a plea agreement.
Are those all crimes against persons?
They're all crimes, just all
Oh.
crimes.
And those actually have been done, because I have gone through every case that has been brought up for Brady, and I evaluate each case, and when a brief is written, I respond.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not talking about John Doe, I'm talking about.
What are you
the-
talking about?
I'm talking about the prior cases where people have entered a plea of guilty on it, not what you've done, but prior to learning about the Brady issue, all of those other cases that need to be looked at.
With those cases, no one has filed briefs on so far,
So
so,
I understand it, but as a person that works in the justice system is, a person needs to go back to see if it made a difference. That person may not know of it or has not learned of it, but if there's someone sitting in jail that shouldn't be sitting in jail, on it, we owe them a duty to look back to see on it and make sure that it was handled right.
we have,
Just because they
we have notified every person, except for the letter that we had sent you just recently, we have notified everybody. We checked with you to see if you've got any that we haven't notified, but we've notified everyone according to our records. And so that's closed justice court, that's closed district court, that is open justice court, that's open district court. I don't know
I guess
what
I
other
haven't seen
cases.
any type of, as part of that, is we have not received any type of letter of confirmation that anything has went out to the individual.
It has. You did, under
Letters?
the writ, yes. We gave you a pile this high of documentation showing all the letters that have gone out, all the notice that has gone out to the individual. In fact, we even got a protective order from the court to send it directly to the defendants of closed cases, because we can't contact somebody that was previously represented. We sent all the information that we have given to you on each of the Brady officers has gone to each of the other cases.
I haven't seen that.
Well,
And to double check too, Lance, to make sure that all the persons that you and your firm had represented.
It's not
et
me
cetera.
that I'm worried about. I know my clients are taken care of. It's the public defender's office that is the issue here on it. And,
Well,
I mean,
we sent it to double check and make sure we'd gotten the whole list of persons you had from September of 21 on, that we'd gotten that list right. And we'll probably do the same letter next week with the PD's office and have them
Yeah,
give us their list.
no, we've
too.
already done it.
Yeah,
the
we sent that
PD's
letter
office.
last week.
Huh?
Yeah, we sent the letter to Lance last week.
Yes, but all the open, closed, justice and district court cases, everybody that Kunzelman handled or was involved in, or the other two Brady officers have been sent out to open and closed. And I can go up and pull the documentation and bring it down here, and I think you'll be aware of it when you see it, because we gave it to you. We gave it to you as exhibits in the courtroom, under the writ.
definitely not that.
Huh?
Definitely not. I've not seen like Mr. Jones, we've learned, I haven't seen it.
May I be excused? I'll go up and get it. Thank you.
I have one question, and it's just a technicality, and probably Dawn could answer this more than anybody, because of where you used to work for your position. You're talking about hiring an investigator in a month, to make sure that we get the federal monies. Would Mineral County be able to put that out as a possible opening, so that she's able to review applications prior?
If we decide that that's the route that we're going to take, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and a potential opening,
Yep.
not saying that, oh gee, you're gonna have it, because you don't wanna hire until we exhaust the federal money first, that's my opinion, but,
So I would that is the only point, I would have to talk to Wally about, would that cause a conflict?
Yeah.
It's a
Even with-
problem, because yesterday when we worked on the other thing, you'll notice where there's federal grant or money involved,
Yes.
it has to meet the standards of the grant or the federal allocation of funds. So if you try to advertise it first, but you don't have the right stuff in there, you don't qualify for any of it. So you get the commitment first, and once you have the commitment, then you can advertise it and do it that way.
alright, I just
And I
was thinking
suspect-
of a way to,
Because I
Get
do
around
have
the
that
system a little
concern, if the
faster.
money doesn't come, then we're a month behind in getting something advertised and getting someone in there. I just wanna make sure that we're moving as quickly, that we have an absolute positive plan to get a full-time detective in there, no
yeah,
matter
that was
what.
just my question,
Yep.
is could we go a little faster, but no.
No,
Well, only we could, other than it would conflict with what their requirements are.
We want the federal money,
We do.
so
you need it.
I would say,
So would hiring a temporary person under just a month-to-month
Contract, like maybe contract?
would that work?
Probably
you'd
just
still
not
have to
do
do
as
the
well.
background and everything else on them, so you'd still be spending your money.
No, but I mean, until you get the Fed, would that, if you had a temporary person working until you got the Fed person hired, with all the steps that you have to go through, would that make a problem on getting a federal contract?
Probably it is.
Okay.
Volunteer
Wally,
detective, would that also, a volunteer detective, would that also?
That wouldn't affect it as badly, but the problem is
But
who do you get as part of your
Yeah, I don't
business?
know,
So,
I don't know.
there's an old saying about this in my other business, the fastest way to move cows is slow. never forget that.
Yep.
That's a
No.
We've
good role.
exhausted all possibilities.
I'm thinking about that.
That's a good way to look at it. So we're not going that slow, but I'm impressed. Part of it, I think they called because I think Roman talked to people at one of the Mako meetings or did something at the Mako discussion. I don't know really who's responsible. I don't know who Dwayne talked to at the Republican things in November, October in St. Regis. I don't know who said it. I don't know where it was, but this was not a function of we went to them, they understand the numbers, the volumes, the whatever else we're seeing, and they called us. And that is a gift from the sky. So I will take it if we can get it, and I'm trying.
Now, are these positions in the county attorney's office, these are certified positions, trained positions, these volunteers or hired detectives are Montana certified law enforcement or lawyer? A county attorney would obviously have to have a law license, correct, Lance? But detective wise, are you looking at somebody who is certified in Montana and knows Montana law? Or are you looking for, can you hire just anyone and call them a detective?
So what you're looking for is a person who has the skill set and the training to do it. And that doesn't mean you're necessarily only post certified. What you need is a person who basically has really good interviewing skills. The first basic skill to do that is how do you interview? How do you do it? What do you figure out? How do you ask the questions? How do you put it together? So that's one of the most basic skills that investigators or detectives, but investigators have. So they have to have enough school. Some have got a degree in criminal justice, some have got degrees in law enforcement. There's all sorts of different things. But basically, what you're looking for, what you need is a fact gatherer, an information gatherer, an information harvester, call it that way. That's what it takes. So you don't just hire anybody to do it. You have to find somebody who has enough training, enough concept, enough idea to fill out an interview skills evaluation form correctly and do it.
Does the federal government give you any parameters or guidelines for these positions? Is this something where the federal government would say, here is the job description and the requirements to be employed as?
They don't say the whole job description, but they give you a minimum list of skills usually. For example, Lake County has a person who only does PFMA, persons that is funded totally by the federal government through the county attorney's office. So they have one attorney who just does those cases only, and it's all federal money. They wrote the job description, the person answers to us, in the county attorney's office, that's how they do it. So if they do that, that's another option. We haven't even gone down that path yet to find that person. But if there's still federal money in that program, that may be a way that we get there with funding that position as well for free to the taxpayer. It's on our federal taxes, but it's not something we're paying for on property tax in the county. It comes otherwise.
What I really like here is that Lance was agreeable to that wait of a month
Yeah,
to get.
I
think
do
that's
not see
wonderful.
the detective as the number one problem.
Okay, but if Deb does, you're still agreeable to the month is,
I don't
you
care
didn't have
about
an issue with
the
the month, with the
detective.
time. So that's
But-
just really nice to be on the same page that way, as far
But-
as time frame.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know about this federal program or
Yeah.
what it is, and I also, there are other things, but, it's great, if they'll pay for it, wonderful, and still, it's not the core problem in my.
Yep, I do understand that two different opinions on what's needed, but I just wanna make sure that we're doing everything we can for you to see our level of commitment, and we do want your backing for the public safety levy that we know is gonna have to happen.
Just for the record, I went out and pulled, this is Brady material that we have given out. This is the Justice Court open, closed cases, district court open, closed cases. This was the information that was given to you with the discovery receipts. And then we have the cases for disclosure, and what this is just charts of each of the cases we have gone through and pulled, and which officer was involved in the cases, in each of the cases, and you might remember these.
I
These
do
were
remember
given
that
to
part.
you, and all the information has gone out to each of these. And
That's what
then-
I'm asking to see is where's, like, if you should open up, can we just look at the top one?
Mhm.
Let's take, Kevin Lewis Adams, he had 3 involved, all 3, so where's the letter to Kevin that says that here, these 3 were involved, they're Brady officers?
Those are all open cases, they went to their
Okay,
attorney.
well,
So
where's
all the
closed-
attorneys-
How about the closed ones then? Let's look at
Okay.
this one. Show me a letter for, let's see.
Right here.
Michael Bersati.
These are all the closed cases for discovery. Here's all the closed cases for defendants and all the information that has been sent to them.
Where's the, like, letter to me? That's that's what I'm trying to see.
It's right, we have them right here.
I don't see any.
Okay, you wanna look at these?
Yeah.
These are all the people it went to in this case.
But it
These-
doesn't explain.
Yes, we've
You
got all the
understand?
pro se's in here.
I understand that, Deb, but if I am whoever, here, Mark Bass, and what shows me anywhere that Mark Bass in a closed case knows about Sean Byzantine?
I could pull his file and show you exactly.
That's what I'm asking, is
Yeah.
I wanna see something that's directed to Mark Bass.
And this shows you that we have sent it out, and he was pro se, and we gave it to him.
I don't see it saying that.
The letters, they're in
I'm not fighting, I just
individual
wanna see
files.
that there's a letter, that's the important part, that so that the
We
person knows.
have them, and we gave them to you. And it's in all of this.
Well, can we just see, like, we must have a file.
And the court went through it, and the court
No, it
said,
hasn't.
Yes, it
I'm not
has.
trying to argue, I'm just asking, show me a letter to one of these people.
closed JC cases, right here. Letters. Ann and Anderson. Those are pro se's. Closed cases for DC. And this was all given to you.
I think who may have gotten the file that day.
I don't think I got any of
I
this.
think Jordan took the file that day, because Lance had something else when we were done.
Did this go
I
all
think
to the
Jordan had-
judge and-
yeah.
It went to you, your office,
Yes.
and the judge. Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
Well, a lot of stuff went to the judge that didn't go to us, that's what I'm asking.
No, the only thing that went to the judge was the personnel files. You wanna see the closed GC cases?
I do.
And these each have a notice on cases for disclosure prior to 10/26 hearing. And this is what was disclosed. So we even put information on there so that you'd understand what it was.
Wally, since you think it's possible it went with Jordan, would you be able to contact her and find out?
I can't remember who took it that day, but
Okay,
I
We-
think 10/26,
We have a thing
there was a
on,
box.
sure.
I think we had them on.
it's my
His
partner.
It's his partner,
Yeah, and that, Lance, too, is why I sent the letter that said, do you have a list on the people you guys had that were clients to make sure that we have all of those sent to as well? I just was double checking
No,
that.
we definitely contact our clients because of this.
And I'm doing the same thing with, Public Defender's Office to make sure they've gotten us their list, so there's nobody who got left off the system.
Well, a couple of things.
well, the public
concern-
defenders had put it on their website,
That's
so
what they
everybody
said.
has access to it.
And they
So-
were kinda hesitant to send us another list, they said we basically posted it. But the private lawyer ones, which is Lance and Jordan's, basically the impression I had, just double check the list, that's why we sent the letter.
On it. Well, I mean, I'm glad you sent them out this, it should give them notice to ask questions. So
Yeah,
that
and
is-
that's why I'm saying, you know, if somebody comes up, we'll respond. But so far, it's pretty much been, there were maybe a couple of public defenders that reserved motions, and these are the only ones, and they're pretty much all of Mr. Jasper's cases that complained.
And that's what concerns me.
Well, I have no control.
Well, I'll let you guys make the call. You know, it's one of the things that, you know, you knew you needed it a while ago. And I understand the money issue, but money comes first to public safety. And, it is what it is. And, you know, I see changes happening, I'm happy that they're taking place, but, you know, it's not enough right now. It needs help, whether Deb wants that or not, it's needed.
The other part we're away from is we'll probably have the first subpoenaed information on our law enforcement people back in the mail today or Monday or Tuesday, whatever the last mail day is. Because I talked to 3 of the people doing the subpoenas back on personnel file records Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. We're gonna bundle them back up and send them back. So the information we ask for on the background checks and files and all the persons we have is on the way back. And the judge signed the subpoenas. So we signed them, sent out the first 14 of them, and some of them are on the way back in the mail, and we may even get here today. But in terms of the other information, to figure out what was the issue in the hiring process that may have given us good or bad, we have those on the way back too, and that's part of what we need to get through before we do a whole lot else with hiring or with whatever else, because cleaning that up's a good thing to get done. I think we sent 15 of them out. The first 15 are gone.
So I'm not sure how that motion would look, being that it's based on waiting for federal confirmation of funding the position. What would that motion look like?
Which motion?
If I wanted to make a motion that we hire a full-time detective for the county attorney's office, I'm not sure where it fits in there but while waiting for the federal money, I don't know how to.
I think the way to do it would be to say, if you want to make a motion, the motion to make for a decision is to have the county attorney's office and the commissioners pursue federal help for funding instead of the detective, what we called it within was an investigator hyphen detective, which is one of the same, but investigator is a little broader, I think. So we use the word investigator, and it's also discretionary. So that means we get to determine how the money gets spent, not just the Fed. So we want it to be something commissioners and the county attorney's office say, this is how we should spend it, not the Fed saying, this is what you're doing. And they were quite keen that we were willing to be discretionary. They didn't want to put purse strings on it. So
I'd
that's
say that wouldn't be too beneficial for us if they said 80% will fund, but only for drugs on the interstate.
Yes.
And then what are you gonna do with all the child abuse, sexual assault?
And other stuff. That's why
You
we
need to
were
have
so-
that, you need to have that broad.
Exactly. So the only motion I think that I would ask you for is just give us a motion to say the commissioners and the county attorney's office will pursue federal help and funding, et cetera, for investigator help, in that. And they, like I said, they called us, I didn't call them, but I was quite pleased, and I don't know which one of the commissioners triggered some of that in October, November, but backwards and in the federally best we've had in the last 2 weeks, kind of the word got out that that was a big deal, and maybe MHP's people, because they were, I think, 1 or 2 of those guys with a lot of stuff on the seat, said something to who said it further. I don't know, and I don't really care to run the trail down. What I care is they call, and we should pursue it.
Yep, so I would like
That's
to make
all I
that
want.
motion, but I'm still not really clear on what my words are gonna be. So
I
if
don't
either of you
really
guys.
think you can do anything other than, at this point, is to wait and see if anything materializes.
I wanna have something in the record that we're pursuing it. So that's why I wanna get this
Oh,
official.
okay.
Yep, so I'd like to make a motion that the county attorneys pursue federal funding for.
Call it federal
Yeah,
help.
Federal help
No. in respect to investigation and detectives
Respect to investigation and detective
for assistance with cases in Mineral County.
for assistance with cases in Mineral County.
Right.
I'll second that motion.
A motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed?
I think it's a very good first step.
I think it's very good, and if you can find the funds in the budget and we can pursue that, I'd be more than
If we can find
happy.
an able-bodied willing person,
Yes,
Mineral County sometimes is tough to find qualified.
I have a couple of ideas.
Oh, good, okay.
So that might,
Or in the meantime,
in the meantime, and that might just help us.
And also in the meantime, we do have that money for you, for that 10,000.
The 10,000,
that you
yeah,
can
yes.
You use as you see fit in crisis mode.
And I will do that.
so you would call it a different title, so you don't risk the feds
I've got an
saying,
appointment,
yeah.
and thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
See you later.
So do we have an idea of how much the 3% tax is going to bring into the county? Do you have an estimate on that?
Are you referring to the marijuana, medical
Mhm.
marijuana?
That goes into the general fund?
That doesn't,
Yeah.
that's public comment, right?
That's not part of Deb's meeting, is it?
Oh, I was just thinking you guys are looking to scrape money up, and I'm
That's not
wondering
gonna be
if you
very
know,
much.
if you know how much it may be, so.
And that could also go, being the, drug, whatever you wanna call it, taxes, could also go towards the law enforcement of this whole thing and the investigation of these trafficking and everything else.
I don't think it's gonna be very much, because it's only 3% tax, and the county only gets half of that, 50% of it. So, I mean, I don't know what the sales are, do you know, Wally?
I
Wally
do
probably
know,
knows
but here's the other thing, it is more than 50%.
that the county
Because
will
here's
get.
the skinny. Part of the money goes to the county, a percentage of the money goes to the town of Alberton, and a percentage of the money goes to the town of Superior, and 5% goes to the state of Montana Department of Revenue.
So if you could talk the cities, the
So,
two towns, you could
because
do 95%.
we prosecute the cases for Alberton, we prosecute the cases for Superior, and our deputies do the work for them. Both of them have an obligation to contribute to us. And guess who has to go to the Alberton Town Meeting, 7 o'clock on Tuesday evening, and one thing in the discussion list is me.
Well, it's
So the
too far
truth
for
is-
Deb to drive.
Yeah,
It was quite a drive this morning.
But what I'm saying is that there is a way to just say it's not
Yeah,
50%,
okay.
it's more, Diane, by a lot. And
understand
the
that.
other part is,
It could
that
be
money is
95%.
not earmarked for the commissioners to say, you have to spend it on this. No, that is totally commissioner discretion funds. You're not locked to having to spend it on a certain thing or things. So it's completely general fund money for you guys.
so Wally, how much taxes how much marijuana sales was there in Mineral County last year?
Can't remember, they had an estimate of what it was, but somewhere, we should get somewhere, I think we'll get at least like 25,000. That was the impression I had on that. And
Julia, there's your answer. Possibly up to around 25,000.
That's a good start on someone to
Well,
help
that's why.
any department.
That's why
Yeah.
we wanted
But
it.
of course, that was first said to be public comment.
we just need a sign in Wallace,
Well,
Idaho that says buy illegal in Montana. Sorry, I didn't say that. But you know, that billboard would probably pay for itself if we did it. Sorry, Monty, you didn't report that.
We're in.
I'd like to swing back to one other part of, Lance and, Deb were talking. My question to you is, Lance mentioned a couple names. Should Juliet block those names out before she puts this?
Which names were they?
Above cases you have.
I'm not getting paid to edit. It was said in a public meeting. If I'm getting paid, then I will edit, but otherwise, it was said in a public meeting.
I think those names are public record.
Well, I
They
don't
are.
know,
Excuse me.
that was my only worry was.
Yeah.
They're
did
public
it-
record.
I mean, that's
They're
why they
public
can.
record.
Okay,
They're
all
not
right,
gonna
that
be-
was my only
Or
worry
if
about those
somebody's
two
made in the
people.
paper for
It
a
was-
speeding ticket, it's public.
It's
record.
in
Okay.
the paper.
All right, then that's fine, I just
It's-
didn't, I was just
it's on
worried
our
about the
website,
county
too.
and having it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I know he wouldn't.
It's not my job to clean up. That's
I'm
not,
I'm
I
not
know.
saying that. I'm not
I
saying
understand that, but it's not
Yeah.
my job to edit it. If
I
it
just
is
don't wanna see
inappropriate,
them
it
get
should have
in
been
trouble
dealt
with-
with those two.
I
Okay,
just don't
so
wanna see them
I have
get
a
in
question too
Yeah,
about
go ahead.
Lance last time. And I just wanna clarify it because it's kinda concerning. He said that he had told his daughter, I believe, and her friends, if a cop tried to stop them to go wherever. Isn't that evading an officer?
Hold on, let's get this straight. When he said that, the first thing he qualified with was, my daughter is to call 911, then go to a safe place.
Okay, Julia, thank you.
There's
for
a
that
big
clarification.
difference, and that's
Okay,
been brought
so
up
she
by several
clarified.
other people. He said it when he stated it right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so still,
Well,
is that
depends on where
still?
the safe place is it 10 miles away or is it right there?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was just concerning because, I mean, I've heard that before with women that are out in the country, you know, and it's for my own information.
And Sean asked,
I've heard law enforcement,
Mr. Funk that.
And he said no, right?
Yeah,
He said that they should
yeah,
stop
would
right
be-
then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said
But when it was asked of Ryan, it was also stated, he did not include the part of, I told her to call 911 first. So that's why I'm a little annoyed with this keeps coming up that way, because he qualified
You know,
it
Julie,
first.
I have a right to ask questions.
No,
too.
I know, but I'm clarifying, it's on video that it was
I saw it.
asked.
That's where I saw it.
It was stated in that manner, but every time when someone asked it of Funk, you did not include that he had
Okay,
stated.
I stand corrected. I am sorry.
There's a difference between driving to a
understand.
safe
This
place
right
and
isn't
calling
trying to be
911
arguing. Yeah.
first.
I understand.
Yep, so we don't need to argue, you had a question, it's been answered, and it's over, yep.
just,
Thank
can I
you,
say
Don.
one thing on that deal? I've heard law enforcement tell people, go to a safe lighted area rather than on a darkened road.
Sure.
So, you know, that,
I know,
I
I
think
know, I've
more.
heard that too.
But that
That's why I
wasn't
just want
Diane's
clarification.
question, right, she was just
Yeah.
asking for a clarification.
I didn't mean
and
to
she's
start an
got it.
argument. I just
Yeah.
want to know
And now,
for my own protection.
Right.
and
No.
so,
And I know in big cities, there's people that impersonate officers too, you know, and we've heard horror stories that way. So I was just curious.
yep,
We
And-
don't have lighted areas out here.
I know, I know.
So,
The cop
You
usually
need to
picks
pull
a
over.
spot. When he knows that there's a safe spot up the road, he waits until he activates his lights, because
Right.
when you activate the light, that's when you're supposed to pull over.
right.
That's good to know.
You don't drive for 10 miles and decide on your own where a safe spot
Out
is,
in the middle of.
because then the cop thinks you are aloof.
Right.
And then he calls in everybody else, there's a chase, this person won't stop.
And then
And
there's
it's
felony
very,
arrest.
very confusing if people
Yeah.
start deciding when they're going to comply
Right.
with yielding the right of way and pulling over.
But that's good to know, so a cop usually just takes all that safety stuff into consideration,
yeah.
they should.
Yeah,
They need to be safe too when they
Yeah.
pull over,
Sure.
and
They
they
don't
need
wanna
to have
pull
their
over.
lights shining, and you don't wanna pull over on a corner where nobody's gonna see you.
in time.
So
Yeah.
they,
Pick a straightaway,
Judge
pick on the
Okay,
cutoff
that's
road,
good to
pick a
know.
spot with a wide spot.
But there's no lights.
yeah, when you live out on Diamond Ridge
Yeah.
Road,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
All right. All right, well, anything else to Wally and Deb to wrap up this topic that we discussed, anything?
I just would like to know, will you call us immediately and say, yay, we got the money, the feds approved us, and moving full speed ahead?
I think what it's gonna be is a combination of congresspersons talking to the US Attorney's Office in Montana about what to do, how to do it. And part of the other tie was the reality of the 35 cutoff question of people using the cutoff road to go. The drug chain seems to go to CSKT and to Blackfoot Nation, that direction. So that's kind of what brought it to the attention of people, but they were willing to say, we're not tying this to drugs, we're tying this to all the stuff, because the highway's so busy. So that was impressive, that they seem to have gotten it.
So is it helpful for people to contact, like Tester and Danes?
I think at this point, I'd say not, I'd say sooner, so we hear back, because they said they'd get back to us
Okay.
Tuesday or Wednesday.
So let us know if you need us to.
Yeah.
That'd be
do that.
great. Good,
Found a
that's
bunch of
exciting.
Mhm.
Pills or drugs up in Sanders County, are they too, didn't they, 600
Yeah,
plus?
whole bunch.
Mhm.
Yeah, but there was an interesting discussion that they called and said, this is something we're really trying to do because we can see that the issue of the pressure of the trafficking is miserable. And some of that was expressed by Jesse Laslovich at the county attorney's meeting in December, because they are sort of overwhelmed by the volume of what they're seeing. And the Montana AG said the same thing, but they haven't done a whole lot to do a lot about it. So I think this is kind of the step where they're gonna actually try to do something that makes a difference on the ground about the question.
Is Jesse from Butte?
Yeah, you know, yeah, that.
And let's face it, all these drugs that are coming in, I have no idea when they're being manufactured in somebody's little trailer. If they're China-born materials, and you end up with fentanyl, you end up with a lot of death. So, you know, it's a problem.
All right, well, if there aren't any, if you're done with your closing comments, I guess we can adjourn until.
Thank you.
I want to thank Deb and Wally both for working so hard.
You guys have done a great job.
Yeah.
You know what?
A lot of people would have said to hell with it.
I've just got a question. Was this meeting today to update Lance on how we're doing? Is this a special meeting? Because usually I thought that was done in front of a judge to see how much we have.
Yeah. The writ of mandamus is reviewed by the judge to see
Yeah.
if the compliance is being satisfactory, to, you know,
That's,
met.
okay, that's my understanding.
Today, on the agenda, Lance was here to say he wanted to talk about hiring another county attorney and a full-time detective.
Exactly, that's what.
So that's
the
why
agenda said.
Don's motion was to at least show and support
Okay,
that we are wanting to move forward with getting
Okay.
assistance, and it could be in the form of a
Touche.
detective that's a little bit better at investigating
yeah,
certain crimes, or it could be in the manner of another county attorney to help with processing and paperwork, or it could be both, depending on funding and resources, if we can acquire any.
And this is just the material he said he hadn't seen, but it had gone to him by evidence. We gave him the evidence in the writ of mandamus. So this is, it was just to refresh him that
Refresh,
you have seen it.
clarify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Deb went out of her way to go get this,
Yeah.
that normally is stuff that pertains to the court, to
This
show,
is just to show,
but she
what
was
we've
trying
been
to
In
answer
good
this,
faith that you went up and got this and brought it down.
yeah.
and
we
showed
have
him that she wasn't just talking out the side of her mouth.
Well, and that his office was informed or kept in the
Yeah, and
chain,
it was just
even
a
though he may
follow-up.
have seen it.
It was a follow-up to his meeting being in here, what, 2 weeks ago? He was in and made some demands, you can see it on film. And one of them was to hire another county attorney, one of them was to hire a detective, and this was a follow-up to that.
Okay, I missed that.
And I would say though that we did say in his last meeting that we were going to leave it up to our county attorney
Yeah.
and what their needs were. And that's why for Deb to say detective,
Right,
that's why I wanna go with that, because we do wanna get her everything that she needs. But we did make that clear that it would be based on what,
what
yes,
we
what
need,
they need, yep, our county attorney.
not what he feels.
Right,
Part of the issue of the investigator, to put it bluntly, is this, it's the GIGO rule. That means garbage in, garbage out. So if you send stuff from down here upstairs to work on, to prosecute, or the investigation of Sear Road, or whatever you're doing, if we get garbage in, it's hard not to have garbage out. So the key to the investigator thing that can also teach deputies better, teach people interview skills, et cetera, is it changes the rule. It's no longer GIGO. We're no longer getting garbage coming in the form of reports that aren't adequate, reports that aren't done. Like the cars were not searched before they were towed away and parked, they should have been. So the reality of the deal is, what we're trying to address is not just the issue of let's sort out the mess. Now let's produce a product which is a product we can work with. And that's a hard part, Roman, but the day of guys that are doing law enforcement is not like what it was when you were there, when you started. It's a whole different camp of people. And that's a hard lesson for me to learn. The new,
Well,
younger age doesn't quite have the details of the picture. It's that simple.
the only good thing is we don't have so many agencies that you have to try to improve their skills upon, like cities like Billings, their county attorney is working with not only highway patrol and not only the sheriff's office, but they're also dealing with the city police of Billings, the city police of Laurel.
Laurel,
And then you've got all kinds of different walks of life that are thinking, well, this is good enough. So I guess the bright side of this picture is that we do have a small department, and your quest to improve, how you want to see the reports and how you want them to follow through
Right.
should be an easier task than some places.
I have a question, whose jurisdiction would this detective fall under? The county attorneys or the sheriff's department?
Well, the way, the discussion we had today, it revolved around the idea that that person would work for the county attorney.
Okay, and doesn't that seem like it would kind of cause conflict somewhere along the line between the county attorney's office? Because is this guy law enforcement, or is he, that's the only thing I see, and it's like,
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He
You're
will
gonna-
be law enforcement, he will work under the county attorney's office, he will be separated from the sheriff's department so that he can be an independent arbiter of the facts that we need. So it happens all the time. Where I came from previously, I had numerous investigators, and they were all from the sheriff's department, but they had experience under their belt, and they can clean up things that patrol officers don't have the time to do.
okay, I understand that. I think that my way of thinking is the detective should be under law enforcement, but work hand in hand with you guys to make sure that job gets done.
No.
And I have been through law enforcement also, just for the record.
Well, just,
And
yeah,
departments I've
every,
had have had detectives.
every agency
It's different.
almost every agency has their own, a county attorney has their own detective. That is to separate them, because when you have issues such as Brady, they can investigate themselves. But my detective is separated from them. He could investigate.
That I can understand.
So those are the kind of things that would save some money, would save time, would save effort, and we're two separate agencies.
But then how does the improving the sheriff's department's ability to get the initial information, the garbage in part of this, if they're walled off, as you called it,
They're walled off.
how does that process
Well,
work?
when they write reports, they can learn from those reports what this investigator went out and did, how he went about it, so they could ask the same questions the next time.
But
it
if there's
gives
a
them-
wall, I'm guessing I'm
They're not
missing.
walled off in that sense.
They still work together. but
They
if
still work
someone's gonna-
Okay, well, you had used the term to wall off, and I thought, how does that
would be from
interface allow
supervisory
that
things.
feedback?
That would be from supervisory things and hourly when you come to work. If she wants the investigator to be working on this week, and the sheriff wants that investigator to be doing fair duty, you want her to be able to have her employee work for her when she needs to, or grant vacation, or grant sick leave. You don't want it to be a pull and tug of, well, the sheriff doesn't like her, so he's gonna take her investigator and make
that's
him work fair duty and not do what she needs him to do.
That's
So
not what I'm
that's
asking.
That's why you separate it.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking how does that interface happen if you're separating them? How does that feedback come back from your office to the sheriff's department in order to
The same way that it
improve?
does now. We are all in the same building. They talk to each other, they email each other, they visit each other. That's what I did for years with Sean Donovan. I go up and talk to him, and he'd tell me how he wanted the reports to look, and I'd try to comply. They just don't have the time right now to sit down with everybody and they're doing other stuff. So this investigator could be speaking for them, helping, advising, recommending, suggesting. it's a small courthouse.
Maybe
It's
the
not-
wall off wording is what was,
Well,
Kind
the
of makes
wall
it
off is
sound
more
like
of
I'm
a
separate.
legal terminology of, they call it a Chinese wall, where you separate so that you don't have one person influence with the other, agency. So that's the only reason I use that word, but they would work.
I think it's an
I think we
excellent
beat the-
idea.
have we
That's
beat
how
this
you,
dead
everybody
horse enough?
improves on both sides of the garbage in, garbage out.
Or the dead bison on the.
Deb, I do have a
Okay.
question about
Well,
that.
we'll adjourn until public comment, thank you very
I
much.
had a question. We're adjourned. Well, I'll ask it anyway. I just wanted to know, that detective person or whatever his title would be in the, or her, in the county attorney's office could also do training for the sheriff's office, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
training
Exactly.
people with
Yeah.
Exactly.
writing reports and
We're all still a team
interviewing.
here,
Yeah.
we're all still a team, we're gonna help each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
It's just an extra person
Because
who might-
training seems like it's a big thing,
Yeah.
especially with writing reports and interviewing.
Okay.
And, I mean, not everybody can interview.
Right.
Yeah, and that's really important.
You've got a great plan going there.
Yes, yes.
And we're making good progress.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My last question, did you go down and pick up any of those bison off the highway? You were late today, I thought you were getting some meat and slaughter. Okay. All right, thank you
My
guys.
other question is, how come Mineral County is involved with the murder that happened up in Columbia Falls or somewhere? It was in the paper today.
I thought that was Sanders,
No, Mineral County.
really?
Yeah.
I have
Reading the Missoulian.
no information about
About
that.
a murder in Columbia Falls?
The
Some
person that
guy-
went to jail for 16 years? Prison?
Oh, you got $5 million?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if that's the same one.
It
This
must not
guy,
be.
no, this guy shot somebody in a house.
Well, that
Up
was
there.
Wally.
Wally got shot.
Wally shot.
Did you hear anything? I didn't hear anything.
I'll find it for you, because I thought, why is Mineral County involved in it? It's just, unless he ended up in our jail for some reason.
You can't want, they say everybody gets a key, no, that's not. So here's the other thing I didn't have a chance to talk about. This is interesting, I love it, what a day. When I get the subpoenaed information back and all the inquiries we've made on everybody's history for law enforcement, who else is gonna become a Brady cop if they wanna get back on the subpoenas? Think about that. I'll just leave it at that right now.
I won't have to worry about it, I've been out of the mix.
No, you don't, no, you're not on the agreement, no, there is no subpoena for your record, sorry.
So, how will that prove interesting?
It's right.
Big?
Yep.
Won't be a rookie sheriff.
Quit smiling. But you got the message.
Yeah. Good God. So anyway, back to the survey.
So they're gonna send the stuff, I said, send me all the stuff, give me the things that give the ownership to the district. And then send your other thing and I'll send it to the insurance company. What a hell of a mess. Why did the district do that? Because they collected all this money by the quarter for years, right? I mean, it was a lot of money.
Yeah, well, $70,000.
And they didn't run the system.
I know.
So,
Hell, well, they started charging me sewer fees before I was ever living there.
on what basis?
When I sent a bill, they were advised by their attorney.
Who the hell was their attorney, I wonder?
Take it back, they might have been advised by their engineer.
Didn't see that coming.
And their engineer is that dipshit,
What?
the one that, he's still their engineer.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know who you mean. But it blows me away that they did that, because that is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, over the years, it was $70,000,
Yeah.
Darcy.
For nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing. And that's just
And
flat
yet they
wrong.
held it over their head right there at the last one. I moved on there.
Yeah.
When I bought that land and I moved on there, they were still holding the last, well, you were there.
I was there, yeah.
When I told them I would buy the signs.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt, but I think this is everything you're gonna need for.
okay,
And it does tell us, you know, it is gonna be that administrative.
good.
So here's the Department of Labor and Industry,
Thank you, good.
and
Okay.
here are the guidelines.
Got them? Good, yeah.
Okay.
Good, thanks, yes.
So do we write in his job acceptance letter, this is an administrative, what do we put?
Yeah, we'll put that in the acceptance letter. There's another word besides administrative.
Because we're working, okay, so because we're
We'll
working
use it
on
both.
that.
Right, we'll use it both, yeah.
Well, you'll have to stop in and
I will,
tell me what you mean, will you?
we'll do it, yeah.
Okay. We need to have that done for Tuesday.
The statute they gave you.
I'm not here Tuesday. I hope you won't need me. I have an appointment.
Are those,
Again?
A dentist, yeah.
are those appointments or anointments?
She's going to Rome.
Yes,
I am, yes.
Yeah. The Pope and the former Pope were both on TV this morning early, so I thought maybe she's got an anointment, you know?
Did you want to write down these, or do you want to give me the check register to write those down? I don't have them.
But it was kind of weird to me, because he's Don St. Peter, he's been around a long time too, and he's pretty rigid a lot of the time. He's a good guy, usually solves stuff well. But he and his people are like, they're totally pissed that the district did this. I said, well, my client paid all this money, and we got nothing. We got zero. And then they had to put it in again.
Yeah, they put 2 more pumps in.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Then they made them fence it. Then they made it's got chain link fence around it now.
Really?
Yeah. And then the last thing was the signs. Oh, the generator. They made them buy a generator on a trailer, which they keep. They don't even keep it there. They keep it out at their sewer lagoon.
Yeah.
But they had a big battle about what generator it was gonna be. Oh yeah, that drug on. I mean, yeah, it was just one thing. It was really obvious, we'll just stifle it as long as we can. And I think the reason for that is Jerry owns, I don't know, probably half a dozen sewer hookups there where his little arena and stuff's at.
Yeah.
So he's saving room, all the
So
ones that,
this week,
all the ones
Renee
that
and
are going
I
in
want
where
to teach her
I'm
how to
at,
do those
probably sparing
resolutions.
him,
Oh.
are we gonna have
I
enough room
don't
for me?
know.
I don't,
Let's see,
I
there
don't know
should
why
be a
else he
copy
would do
in
it.
your folder.
That might be, how many are going in by you?
From Mako.
Oh, 14 lots.
Oh,
13,
yeah.
there's
13
Yeah.
there is
Hours
14
and
lots, but they
mileage.
made
Right.
the one
So,
between one
I guess I
and
don't remember. Do we make all that
3, I
stuff up
believe.
before we come in
there's
and
a
accept
right of way that
them?
goes down to
Because
the
you don't know
riverbank.
the boards and
Instead
stuff
of
yet,
having a-
right?
Giving them an
For
acre
that one?
We can just.
for a park,
we can-
like we
I
used to
usually,
do.
what we've done in the past,
They
we
made
refer
that
to
into
the
the
last
park.
year's one.
So it's
Yeah,
river
I do.
access, it's
But
to the
on
river-
that day
to-
or before
for
the day?
residents,
Like,
sure,
we
so
could do that
it's
today?
not
Yeah.
public
Okay.
access, it's
Okay.
private
That's what I
access.
couldn't
That's
remember.
good.
That's where that one lot went,
Okay.
and that's all great.
Yeah, I think we
And he's
did,
got a
yeah.
lot.
So you
A
came
lot of
from Lake
people
County, you know very many of the
swearing in
deputies
a
over
couple
there?
days ago,
Erwin Longbill?
Flathead County.
He's my nephew's cousin.
Cool.
I remember him when he was a little kid like
Yeah,
this.
little kid.
It's
Yeah.
Running up there,
30th,
give me
right?
candy, give me candy. I'm
Yeah.
gonna knock him across.
I know all those guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty good guy. really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
straightforward.
Yeah. I haven't seen him for a while.
And what does
He's a
that
sergeant-
mean
he's
when
a
you're
sergeant
old?
over
Just
there. Yeah,
exactly
he's a
what
good
does
guy.
that mean?
When you're
Really
near
good
heat.
We've gone,
Yeah, when you're
I see him
young,
so
you
often.
know,
That is
that's an
there.
exciting
Yeah, you want-
holiday.
Pull that up.
That's great.
That is neat.
Yeah. His wife's pretty nice.
Cool.
She's a school teacher over at Cherry Valley.
In Cherry Valley, yeah, she teaches, I know the school superintendent really well.
I used to go, God, I'd go to Cherry Valley,
Yeah.
because I lived right across the street, go in there at night and play basketball and indoor
Sure.
sports, and then during the summer go play in the outdoor basketball courts.
Yeah. No, Cherry Valley, still there.
Yeah, but they changed the outside of it though, they took away the basketball court we used to play on. They put a fence around it.
That's because you're old as dirt, dude.
Yeah, well, what can I say?
I don't know why they did that to a lot of stuff, I don't like
Yeah.
that they did it. Yeah,
I
that's
mean, the
their
one
choice.
thing, back when I was in school, they didn't have softball or baseball for the
Right.
schools or whatever. Now they got all these girls softball.
And volleyball and
Yep.
all this other stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
That was the difference, I agree.
So,
What do you say, why?
my nephew does the plumbing for my son on all the houses he built.
Yes.
That was his shop up at Ronan the other day. One of his shops, he's got 2.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Had a wood
2 minutes
stove
of
in there,
to Verizon. Can I
13,
eat my soup in 2
14-year-old
minutes? I
boy,
don't think so.
and he stoked the stove a couple of times through the day, and
No, I just
like
texted
3
her.
o'clock in the afternoon, somebody looked out the window and seen fire coming out.
Holy crap.
I suppose he's got a bunch of PVC, he was buying PVC as fast as he could get his hands on it, and he uses a lot of it, just stockpiled it.
You know what I didn't find yet, Lori was gonna look.
Boy, that went up big time, look at that.
When we can.
Holy Selena.
They got all the animals, so that's their house right there. Damn. Why that didn't work,
Yeah,
you
do we
know?
have to
Well,
wait
the
10
BBC
years?
should
And
reflect
if so,
those
when
values.
was it
Yeah.
decided?
I don't know what else he had in there, but that's gotta be the majority of it.
It's gotta be a lot of
General
BBC
powers,
They had animals,
partisan,
they had a bunch of
nonpartisan,
hound
that whole
dogs.
thing.
Wow.
They got all them out
Is that
of
what
there,
you're
got their
referring to?
horses, and I think
What do you,
horses.
No,
what you're
about
referring
the
to?
commissioners being
Wow.
full-time
Yeah.
versus.
That would be the same time as the.
Yeah, that
the
was,
charter.
that was
Do you
a
know when that was?
I haven't
And is
talked
it
to
10
him
years?
It's every 10 years.
He said, I got insurance on it, but I doubt if I got everything in there
Oh, so
insured.
we can.
Yeah.
You know how that
If we
is.
wanted that or.
So there was $2 million in BBC funds in there.
My shop was only worth 20,000,
So you don't decide.
but I
what
had
public
$1 million
decides on,
worth
and
of
your public
BBC.
votes are
Plus, no, I don't have any.
partisan.
And he probably does, because he had a
Side of
nice
the
shop
county,
there.
or the affordability, or
What a
the
bummer.
full-time
Yeah.
Yeah.
salaries too.
I don't think ours would be that
Oh,
much
plumbing?
more.
Yeah, I guess I
You're
can ask
plumbing
more
and wiring,
specifically on
oh.
that question. I
No,
thought
it's
that was
plumbing.
the same
He doesn't do
time as
it.
the other public, you know, whether you're gonna have a charter for government or general
So
power.
he owns that lot.
Partisan elections, or
Have you been up there?
nonpartisan elections.
So you know where I live.
Not talking.
So he owns the middle house. There's my lot, and
Okay,
then
well, it was gonna
the
look.
road
Yeah.
that goes into the
Get my
sewer
soup out
thing.
of the
Right.
way.
And then his lot's the next one with the
Okay.
house that they're building,
Yeah.
and there's a guy who's for lane.
Okay.
Yeah, so he plumbed all that, has that for sale.
It's always gonna something.
Yeah, yeah, and he will, and down the beginning.
How much is the house worth?
I think that one he's asking $650 or $740.
Wow.
Yeah, and he'll get it. That river's stuff there.
Oh, yeah.
They like
Did
to
you say
look at
that
that water.
Sean Donovan thing is?
No, they don't care.
And it's 11.
If I stand on my tiptoes in the front room, I can see one corner of it there, not that much of it, that's all. I told him, I said, if I need to look at the river,
I
I'll
gave
go
it to
put my
Dwayne, I
raft
think
in.
he did it. But he said he did mail it to you guys.
Yeah, we looked at those lots, and all those lots along the river there, I think there's 1, 2, 3, and then he's 8,
Wow.
so there's 8,
Didn't get there.
or 7.
I pulled it out of Dwayne's mouth.
Oh, those were all
Okay,
lots, they were right
it's
in.
11:32, so I guess we'll let public comment.
They probably wanted as many as they could get.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
While you're here, Wally, my first public comment is to ask you, so I was under the impression that you were going to bring today a policy, your employee policy.
That was
That's-
a tentative, Julie, that was just a tentative date when he said he was gonna work on it. I asked for a
And
tentative
how's-
date, it wasn't today.
And how's it going?
We haven't finished it. We're working on it though.
Do you guys have a,
We're working on a draft. We'll get there.
okay.
Busy week of felony drug dealers.
And when I asked you guys that, it's just that I take dates down,
Yeah.
when do you think you might have this, so we can keep track of it.
Sure.
That was all that was for.
And I was just asking because we have open positions in the county that are affected directly by that policy. So that's all.
Yep, they'll go under the same policy that we have presently, and when it's amended, then everybody has to follow the amended policy. We do usually, yeah.
February, the date?
Huh?
Want me to give you the date?
Sure.
Diane, do you have any public comment?
Not yet,
You're still thinking?
I am, I'm signing myself in.
Oh,
We
oh.
need to sign
I
in.
have a whole list if you want to share. So you just said policy.
I did, well,
So policies. You have your employee policies on the website,
it is,
but where can other policies for the county and how it's being governed be found? Because I know that we've been told MACO, you don't have
We do.
bylaws.
yep. Julia, so everything is not on our website, we post there what we find relevant. And so we have the policy manual on there, because it really was so that all employees could access that at any time, their policy manual. So everything that we do and all of our documents will not be found on the
I would
website.
agree.
Okay, so that brings me back to the agenda policy. If that is a policy, why wouldn't it be on the website so that the public does know?
Well, because here's how that works. What is posted is the agenda, and on the agenda, down at the bottom, it tells you where to call with any questions. So,
With questions.
no, Juliet, we're not gonna go into that form again. We are beating a dead horse, and really, we have solved that issue. The agenda is posted on the website, and if people wanna know how to contact the commissioners or to get on the agenda, they just need to call that phone number. Now, we have since posted that form, but it's not an issue that we're gonna keep beating, because it's a system that has worked very well for us, and we're gonna keep on going with that system.
Can I
The
say
public
something?
is giving you the feedback that that
No,
system is
excuse
not
me, Juliet, the
working.
public is not giving us that. We're gonna stop this issue of the form, because it has always been in place. And for people who don't know that, okay, read the bottom of the agenda, here's how you call and you will find out. And this is a topic that we're done discussing, because it's been clearly stated how this works.
Can I just say something as a person that has used the system for like at least 5 years? I have been coming to these meetings for 5 years plus probably. And I have always filled out one of those forms. And the way I initially found out about how to get on the agenda, I'd already been coming to the meetings, but if I would have wanted to get on the agenda, I would call the commissioner's number and ask how I go about getting on the agenda. And at that time, I was told, initially when I first did it, you need to fill out this form and get it to us. At that time was by, I think, first thing Monday morning or late Friday afternoon, I can't remember. And now they have extended that to Tuesday morning, I believe. So, you know, it's not hard to find out. I did it. And the interesting thing was the commissioners were trying to find some past information from a few years ago. And I went looking back through, because I keep a copy of all the all the forms. And I actually found the form with the date on it when I appeared before the commissioners with that question. So it narrowed down the search a lot. So it helped me too. So, you know, I mean, I don't know how else you'd find out how to get on the agenda other than calling the commissioner's number.
Okay, so is it a policy? Is it an actual policy?
It is not a written policy.
Okay, that's
But
where
it
the
works very well.
Hold, can I please talk to the commissioners, Diane? Please. So you've said it's policy, but now it's not policy.
Okay, Julia,
but it is
okay,
policy.
I don't want to wordsmith with you. I probably did say this is our policy. This is our policy. Is it written? No. But when you go to get on the agenda, this is what we're going to follow. So we can wordsmith all day long. This is how we do it, and this is how we will continue to do it. It has worked very, very well.
Some of the feedback that you got last week was that it did not work.
No,
So-
excuse me, we are done discussing this because we're just beating a dead horse. There is a form to fill out. If you have any trouble getting the form, you just give Renee a call. Or if you can't reach Renee, all of the commissioners' phone numbers are on the website, and I see that they're also on Facebook now, thank you.
You're welcome, and I
So
would
we
like,
can all be reached, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna follow the way we've been doing it.
then I would like to point out to you that your website is sorely out of date and that Renee is not listed on the website. You are still listed as the HR.
Okay, you know what,
So-
Juliet, we can fix that. It'll take some time. We've been very clear that we are working with the web people to get these things done. So, thank you for pointing that out. We'll get on them and let them know of that change. Thank you.
I'd like to say something on that note. It seems that a lot of policies are not written. And
Could you name
they
another one?
change as people want them to change.
Could you name some other things that?
Well, you just named one. There were some
one,
that a
yeah.
couple weeks ago where people had said, oh, well, this was supposed to be done, but it was never followed through with the policies.
No, that was,
Okay, so
ordinance.
here's the thing. Well, that's not a policy. I did call it our policy to fill out the form. I can wordsmith, so can you all day long. We'll find another word for it. We do not make policies willy-nilly, but we do have the right to institute changes at any time.
And I'm just asking that the public be aware in more than, you can call so-and-so when so-and-so's not listed on your website. I know that you do have it on the bottom of your agenda, yes, but it does not say in order to get on the agenda.
Juliet,
I'm asking this committee to please be more transparent with your policies, your rules, however you're gonna finagle the word that you're using to run this county. People are not feeling like they are informed. They feel like if I wasn't here, they wouldn't have a clue.
but we are transparent. Our door is open. It is on the website, and by the way, that website is a courtesy. There is no statute that says we have to run a website. So that is a courtesy, and we are doing our best to get our word out. And I do think that people do know how to pick up the phone and call us, because we get calls all the time. So I think people know how to do that, Juliet.
I find it disturbing that these commissioners, you have all three said, because it's not a law, we're not going to do it for multiple things now. And you claim transparency, and now you tell me that your website is a courtesy?
It is.
How else would the public know what's going on?
They could walk
Other
right
than the
through door.
minutes, which are
Yeah.
truncated, you know that they're truncated.
Do
They
you
don't give what was said.
Because Juliet, I'm gonna direct you to open meeting laws and see what minutes are supposed to be. They are specifically a snapshot. They are not word for word. And I believe we do a really good job of providing that snapshot.
The follow-through is another thing, but I agree, your minutes are accurate, but they do not reflect what the public wants to know.
Then
And
the public
you,
needs to attend, and we want the public here,
the public
Juliet.
cannot
They can
attend.
call,
I
They
have a
cannot
question.
they can
attend.
call. You wanna call in, you see what's on the agenda, give us a call and we'll put you in so that you can listen to the
And I've done it before.
How does
Julie, I
any-
have a question for you. How else do you think, how else would the word be gotten out that would let the public know? I'm curious.
I
A lot of
don't
people
know,
don't read
that's
the paper. I know
that's not my job.
Well, your job
but-
is to make suggestions if you think something's wrong.
Well, I'm trying to make the suggestion that they do not appear transparent.
That's not a suggestion, that's a criticism, and how, or a critique, I should say. How would
It
you
is
make
the
it more?
feedback I get.
But how would you make it more
The
transparent?
same, I'm going to pick up on what you did in January 2021, and I still believe that these commissioners need to reevaluate their position on public meetings being broadcast.
And I'm gonna say,
Okay,
thank you
fantastic.
very much for your
Thank-
input.
Yeah,
Thank you. We
Thank
do-
me for my
input is
time
what we're
again,
looking for.
but at the
We're
same
looking for
time,
input, thank you.
That helped, yes, I was wondering specifically how you wanted to get the word out more.
I could tell you on Christmas Eve, you guys had 135 people watching the video from the day before. So please don't say that the public is not interested. The public is interested.
I don't think
They
we ever said
physically,
Yeah, who has ever said that, Julie?
they physically cannot be
But
present
we
because
never
they
said
are
that they are
working.
not interested, and your YouTubing is doing a great
Yeah.
service. We've said every week, we like that YouTube, we
Then
appreciate
pay me
that.
for my work, pay me for my
We're not
mileage.
gonna pay anyone
Mary used
for
to
it.
volunteer to do it too, and it was really helpful, but it was a volunteer.
But Mary doesn't live on the West End,
Okay.
and that was
I
because
think that
there's no
we're,
law.
again, I think that we're going too far. Thank you for the YouTubing service, the community appreciates it, and so do we. And now, is there any other public comment?
I do have one.
Okay,
I just really think that sometimes these meetings get out of hand, and I would like to see just a little bit more professionalism. And I don't know if that means cutting off discussions at certain points or waiting for people to be recognized with their hands up. And I know I'm guilty of just saying stuff too. But I am concerned. I know that other places, I know that I know that it's important to keep it informal because we live in an informal county, but I know that other places limit public comment and they do it in a more orderly manner. So I'm just wondering if there's a way we can start
There is.
doing.
Actually, I think we should buy the little timer, because there is a 3-minute time. And then you don't get to come back and keep beating the dead horse. So I think I'm all about doing that.
And I'll try to be better too with my comments.
We'll put the little timer out and you get 3 minutes. And
We
you do
raise our
again. Yeah, I think that's a fine suggestion.
Yeah, you're right, Diane, we try to be informal here, and we don't want anyone to feel like they're stifled and can't speak, because then that goes counterintuitive to people wanting to be open and transparent, but you're right, sometimes things go on and on and on, and it just needs to be
Well, and I know
concise.
there was a situation in Sanders County where one of the commissioners was hounded and harassed so much that she actually quit. And I don't want to see that happen in our county. I think we need to head it off.
That did
kind of
happen in our county, kind of.
Yes. Okay. I just think it needs to be headed off and somewhat controlled, that doesn't happen again here.
I like your suggestion. I don't know when I can get to Missoula with the roads, because I don't drive in bad weather, but we'll get a sand timer. A 3-minute sand. We could do an egg timer.
What about an Alexa?
Oh, yeah,
They
Then we
spy
could,
on
then we
you.
could listen to music.
we could.
5, not 3.
Oh,
5.
and you know how I like to challenge you? I'm gonna look that up, because I do believe it's 3.
5.
It can be limited to 3 if it's a hot topic, but normally it's 5.
It's normally 5, and the problem with 3 is if there's a discussion or it's just a public comment, 3 is not enough.
But it is just a public comment. It's really not a
Right, and
discussion.
5 is the adequate time to do it, because it's not gonna burn a lot of other time.
Well, then I'll get a timer that says 5
Yes,
minutes.
that'd depend on how many people.
This was courtesy of Mayor Kimmis, I want you to know, who had 67 people show up to speak against the subdivision, 1 person to speak in favor. He gave everybody 5 minutes. The proponents, 7 property owners, got 5 minutes. The people on the other side got almost 350 minutes. Was that constitutionally fair?
No.
No.
Well, we'll get a
That's what
5-minute
it was.
timer.
And I would just like to see, us treat each other with respect. I think we all have some good ideas and we all have some
Value.
constructive
Yes,
criticism and
absolutely.
suggestions. And I just think that we can work together to make our county a better place. We all love Mineral County.
We do. Yep, suggestions noted. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I sat here when Lance was here and Deb and all that, and Wally, and they were discussing the deputy or detective and stuff like that. Last week, they brought up the point that they could have the sheriff be here at the meetings on something like this where it does, I don't care whether it's run by the county attorney or the sheriff's department, that sheriff should have been here, or the oncoming sheriff, because he's only 4 hours away from being the sheriff. He should have been here. He should have been told to be here because they were discussing things that may affect his department, instead of waiting until the very end and hearing it after the fact.
I feel that Deb deciding what her office needs, that particular discussion really didn't require a sheriff. But I'm pretty sure that our incoming sheriff will want to be a part and join us. I don't
He
foresee
should
any
have been
problems
invited.
there.
He should have been invited to be here.
But he's always invited.
I'm so,
But that is okay. It's noted, and I can assure you, I do feel very confident that the new sheriff, he'll read the agenda and he'll know, hey, I think I would like to see that. Because I do feel that that was really specific to Deb. But I don't foresee any problems with the new sheriff coming in.
And I brought up the idea of whose jurisdiction this detective would be under. And it really bothers me quite a bit that it would fall under hear me out on this, okay, that it would fall under the county attorney. It should be under the sheriff's department, assigned to, not saying that he is, the detective is their property, but he's still practicing law enforcement if he goes out on a scene and does a search of a vehicle. Now, sheriff can say, okay, you are assigned to this. That is your main function. Not that I'm going to tell you to go out and do a fair duty. you know, that, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, and we appreciate your comment. Thank you,
And as a citizen, that's my input.
thank you.
I do have a question if I can remember it. So I think that if you have somebody working in the sheriff's office and the DEA say, or whoever it is, the drug task force comes through and makes an arrest, drug arrest on the county, you probably wouldn't want somebody else in the sheriff's office involved in the prosecution part. And then I think the other part of my concern is it sounds like this federal money is coming down to prosecutors' offices only. Is that accurate?
That's my understanding.
Yeah. So it wouldn't pay for somebody that was under the administrative part of the sheriff's office, right?
And today's discussion was about what does your office need? So again, thank you very much for your input and your comment. That might be a discussion for what does the sheriff's office need?
A lot of my talks with Ryan.
Has anybody else heard the rumor that Cashman's on terminal and he's gonna quit?
Well, first of all, we don't deal much with rumors.
I'm just asking because I got asked it several times today.
You know how our community can gossip.
He's on terminal what?
Leave, that he's going to quit?
We don't deal with rumors.
Just letting you know what's out there. That's the word on, that's,
The word on the
I got the word on the street. It's, because people know I come to these meetings and people know that I will ask questions.
Sure, and thank you for
And
that
so
question.
I got asked that today, several
What's
times.
this terminal?
As in, usually we've heard it when it's related to the military and that's your.
When your ended term is
You-
coming close and you have vacation or whatever, you take terminal leave, say, I'm gonna use my vacation up and never come back.
So first of all, yeah, we don't
That's the
deal with
definition of
rumors.
terminal
And if that was a personnel issue, we wouldn't be discussing it anyway.
Okay, that's,
Well, and, yeah, and he's the undersheriff, so the undersheriff serves the pleasure of the sheriff, so I have no idea who the sheriff's gonna pick for his undersheriff, so. I haven't heard that rumor.
I have.
Oh,
But it's a
I
rumor.
have too.
so if he's not here, maybe that's why, I have no idea.
So since you're giving us rumors, what's the rumor on that?
I just heard he was going on terminal
You
leave
said
and
you heard the
quitting.
sheriff had a number two picked. Who did you hear he was picking?
I heard the person that he wanted declined to come. So.
I heard Cashman.
Why are we
I did not hear
talking
that.
about I heard?
We're talking about
We need to stop doing
Oh,
this.
Wally.
Well,
Yeah, Wally.
Yes, Wally did ask it, but I'm gonna tell you
Let
as
it go,
former
counselor.
excuse me, HR nightmare.
I heard directly from Ryan, the person he wanted to appoint is not coming. That's what I heard.
Change the-
Directly from Ryan, but
Okay.
that's still rumor, right?
Okay.
We shouldn't be discussing things that,
No, that's not appropriate.
no.
I'm sorry.
Well, helps me, I live on the other end of the county, I don't hear
Then
nothing.
meet up with Julie out in the hall and gossip.
That's the spirit.
Where are you going, counselor?
I scared you off. Oh.
It's hard to cough on. I needed my food.
Oh,
There you go.
You can sit at the table.
You look like coughing.
I heard that you had a cold.
What?
I heard a rumor that you had a cold.
oh, up the ante, I heard a rumor he had COVID.
Let me put that rumor to rest, he has pneumonia.
I heard a rumor he eloped last weekend.
Well, you heard lots of rumors, haven't you?
You know the rumor mill, it's alive and well everywhere.
An old cowboy like you would go to the hitching post, right?
Is that still over there?
I don't know. Well, Wally would know.
I was at work, so I didn't know. That's all I'll say.
No.
So is that the end of public comment?
Well, go on if anyone has a comment.
We have 8 minutes.
I would just say, I was quite pleased the Fed called and asked.
That was such
That was a bit of a shock to me.
They must know that we could use the help.
And I don't know, I suspect it was tied partly to the number of busts we had that were drug significant, probably to do with the calls to the FBI and the AG about taking on some of the cases. I don't know who it, pardon me, the NACO meeting, or who you said it to or whatever else, But I kind of had the impression it wasn't just the legal men who kind of said there was an issue. I think it came from your end too.
Well, I asked Deb if it was okay if I made the call, and she was there with me. and
Good.
Yeah, so I did make the call, but in her presence, so it wasn't be like end around or anything.
No, but it's good.
Yeah.
So the issue is obviously on somebody's radar
Yeah.
screen, which is good.
And it's about time they listen,
Yep.
just a comment from the public.
Well, they might be listening.
I hope so.
Oh, Big Brother?
Okay, I do have a comment, if everybody else is done. I just want it to be the last comment of the year.
Really? The last comment of the year?
Julia,
Well-
are you done? Do you have more?
No,
No, you're not done, or no, you're,
no, I don't have more.
okay. I just want to say thank you to all of you, and Julia, and Clayton too, and Renee, for working so hard on behalf of Monroe County. We have had a lot of problems throughout the years, we've been through them, I've lived here all my life, except for a few years when I was gone, but I just think you're doing a great job, and I think together, we can make our county even stronger.
Well, thanks, hopefully we can too, that's why we keep trying.
Yeah,
It's an uphill
so
battle
thank you.
when outside sources close mills
I
and
know.
change policies in the forest.
And you know, another reason that we need to work together and provide a positive role model, we have, all of us adults, have children who are adults who would like to return. But when they hear from afar what's going on, it's, I don't think I can live there. And we want our families to come back here. So we need to be positive and we need to be law abiding. And we have to show that, we have to model that. I want these people coming back.
Me too.
And it doesn't help when they only hear negative things.
And it doesn't help with new employees coming into the county either.
Right,
So,
yeah.
so on that, I wish I had a bottle of whiskey, we could all have a toast. And here's to the new year.
Wally, that's Wally,
Give
have
me a
you got
minute.
the whiskey?
Give me a minute, I'll go up to my pickup.
Good man. Why do you think I quit coughing after I drank out of this tall cup?
That's your cough syrup?
That's my iced tea.
Oh, yeah.
Was Mako doing chaos over the second or not?
Yeah, well, everybody's kind of doing the baby holiday Monday, except that's when the new legislators are being sworn in at noon, so I'm going over for that, and I'll probably see Denley and some other folks over there, and then they're gonna have a little, after they swear in, they're gonna probably have a powwow, coffee and donuts or whatever, and then on Tuesday, they're gonna start actually hearing some bills in committee. So we'll see what kind of year it turns out to be. There's
The
a lot of,
constitutional thing's gonna be a really interesting set of discussions.
yeah. There's a bunch of bills being proposed for elections, there's a bunch of bills being proposed for, I can't remember the other topic. There's some hot topics where there's a lot
Yeah.
of, some fish, wildlife, and park suggestion bills. I don't know if that's to do with their state parks, or their game wardens, or everything, but
When did we ever find out about the 10-year review thing?
oh yeah.
We were talking about
Maybe
this.
I got a part I looked up yesterday, I'm gonna try to finish it this afternoon, find out what it was.
Okay, I think it happened probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah,
I do remember the question being on the ballot.
Yeah.
The charter form of government
Which
versus
form,
general
yeah,
powers,
yeah.
partisan versus nonpartisan.
So we don't have any say in it. Like if we said, well,
No,
we'd
you-
like to be full-time, we don't really have a say in it.
And if,
Don't you form a committee and the committee reviews?
I think there is, my recollection is you don't have a say in what kind of government it is, but once you pick the kind of government, I think then you get say in whether they're full or half or quarter or whatever
Oh.
else time.
well, I think it
That's my
also,
memory, I just gotta look it up.
I think it
Okay.
also asks if you want a commissioner system or if you want a city, or county manager.
It's called a general powers form of government or a charter form.
Right.
Okay, one's one, one's the other.
Yeah, Fergus County is the
Layman's-
only county I know that has charter form, everybody else is general
The
powers.
charter form is with the county manager.
I don't know if that's the
No.
distinction, I don't think that's a distinction.
No.
It has to do with,
Well, I remember something about if you wanted to continue with your commissioners or if you wanted to have a,
County manager.
county manager, yeah.
I don't think that's for charter form of government, maybe
Well,
it
I
is.
don't know.
No, because Fergus County
I
doesn't
don't, I
have
just
a-
thought that was, no, I don't know, but I thought that was on the ballot.
Well, yeah, those are on the ballot
Yeah.
every 10 years.
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
that
I thought
question.
you were asking about the distinction
No,
of a
no,
county
no, no, no.
manager.
Same with cities, they have to make that decision too.
Yeah.
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 And also they make the decision, do you merge cities and counties or not? Which is do Somerville and the town of Deer Lodge, go to Noise.
Mhm.
That's their choices. That's how we vote.
They're either combined city-county council
Right.
boards, instead of just having 3 commissioners, they have 7 that are city-county combined.
Yeah.
Is it 7 or 9? I think it's 7.
I can't remember, it's a bunch. And some counties have 5 commissioners instead of 3, like Ravalli has 5, I think.
They got rid of that, they went back to 3.
Oh, did they
It was
really?
too expensive of an endeavor,
Okay.
and their full-time commissioners are making, yeah.
And at that point, you can also, the question is also whether you want to continue having a partisan, having your commissioners and your other officers of your county.
It's all county, so you
Yeah,
don't just
be
say
partisan or
one or the other,
nonpartisan.
you want partisan for sheriff, county attorney, commissioner, everything, or nonpartisan.
And Sounders County has nonpartisan.
Yeah, they voted for it last, maybe it was only a couple years ago then.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're off cycle of our 10 years, I don't know if everybody's in the same 10 years or not, but.
What, since they.
The judges are not partisan.
Yeah.
So that isn't anything that we can, we had a question from a couple of gentlemen about, did we want to be full-time, would we consider that, or do we want a county manager? That really isn't a decision for us to even be entertaining right now.
Not until
Okay.
10 years,
Okay,
believe.
so, good, there, we have an
We'll get
answer.
around.
So we're Sanders County full-time?
Yeah,
Add this one.
yeah, they were quite surprised that
When you
Carol
add it.
Whipper was still there.
When
She was
I
quite
did
surprised that
this,
Whipper
I did
only
this,
have
but
10.
when
Oh,
I
I see.
had her tell us here,
I bet she was.
Yeah,
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna have a party this afternoon, from what I hear, the Girl
Oh,
Scouts.
we better get this cleaned
will be
up.
here at 1, and
Yeah, we need to
Yeah.
get it cleaned up.
I swear